In this video, we will be discussing about 5 questions that the project we have. So first of all, let's quickly understand here. I have 5 tables for you. Customer table. Customer table is a very simple table. It has a customer name basically. Customer table. Uh, uh, Let me show you. So this is our customer table. Uh, yeah, this is a customer table, right? Hope you can see this. So this is a customer table. I have all the information of the customers from the region, their joining date. Then there is another table which has the product information, and the name of the table is products. All the products that you sell. Now, suppose I have a company, I have a website or whatever it is, and on that website, I have my company products. What are those products? Under which category they fall? Like there's the LEDs, it falls under electronic, Bluetooth. Then there's the T-shirt, it falls apparel category. Of course, the price has to be there, and every product name has a product ID also. So it means that product IDs are going to be unique, just like customer IDs are going to be unique, isn't it? Because we will not keep the duplicate information here, right? Now, the third table is the order. The order is a transactional table where the orders are coming day-to-day basis. So obviously, this is our customer, right? These are customers, and these are going to come on our website and going to purchase something from there. Then it means that one product can be sold multiple times in a day to different people, isn't it? Or one person can have a shopping on different days, isn't it? Right? So this, if you see here, this is that table. Like for example, there is a customer ID called one. Now that customer ID on this date purchased something worth $26,000 rupees, whatever. And then there is a customer ID two, which is actually Sunita Rao, if you see, right? So this is all the detail. Day to day, we have the transactions coming here. And every transaction is captured by the order ID because we need some unique number. Whenever you create a table in SQL Server or otherwise also, it is always advisable to have some uniqueness in the table, in the information. And that you can always get, by basically knowing the table, right? By understanding that on what principles we are setting up the information. We want to insert the information. Like if it is a customer with database, then employee ID can be there. If it is some transactional data, then as I said that here we have some transaction dates or maybe transaction IDs, order IDs, ticket numbers, right? So this is the main table where we have the data coming. And as you can see here, this ID one is again repeating here, but on a different date. He has given us a business of $200, isn't it? So as I said that this is a transactional database table, I beg your pardon. Transaction means that in Power BI also we use this term, which keeps on expanding on day-to-day basis, on weekly basis, right? So it basically tells us about the business, how the business is going. It focuses on the quantity, right? It focuses on the quantity. The terms that we use in this table are those terms which tells us about the business performance, right? Like here, total amount is something which is a measured quantity. You can measure this. You can do the calculation on it. You can sum it, you can average it, you know. And then there's another table which is order details, which is again a sub-part of our orders, order details, if you see this. Now in the order detail, basically what we are doing is, so all the order IDs that we have here, right? The product ID and the quantity and the unit price is mentioned there, right? Like if suppose somebody has purchased a product 101 and 105 and they have the same order ID because they are bought by the customer on the same at the same time, you know, then the order ID that is generated, that is going to be the same for both the products because that person has purchased these items in the same order. If I'm, let's say, if I'm buying something from a website, why do I have to, if I have to buy three different products, I have to buy shaving cream. I have to then buy maybe a shaving blade and then maybe some hair color, right? So I'm not going to do that again and again. I'm not going to do that in 3 attempts, isn't it? So I will just go and do that in one go. So that is basically the point is. So you have a same order ID, but the products are different. And this can be repeated as you can see here. Okay. So this is the fourth table, the order detail. Then maybe I don't like the product and for some reasons I'm going to return that product. So for that, we are basically mentioning here the order ID. The order ID that I'm going to return. What is the reason for that? Right? Like suppose if you see this order ID 1002, then this ID is here also. Because in the 1002, I basically ordered two products. I means any customer, right? Right? So that's why maybe he is now he has asked for the return and he has asked to return these items, both the items. Okay, so that's how basically you see the all detail. This is how it is. I hope you're comfortable with this now. Let me just show you all in one go. You see, the thing is, you need to understand pretty well the relationships between these tables. What is happening? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, the thing is, if you look at this table is just a customer table, right? This table again is a standard table. This is company's table where the products are mentioned. Here we don't have any as such the measurements, the business measurements. This is the one where actually you are doing the business. You're getting the business, right? Now suppose if I need to know that what is the customer name who has given me the highest business, isn't it? How I can do that? Well, I can look up these customer IDs here using the join and I can know their name in case if I want to do that. And from here, I can use group by also. I can total it, isn't it? Then if you see the another table, this table has the, as I said that, simply the order IDs. This table has an order ID and this order ID is mentioned here, right? So anytime if I have to, let's say, use maybe the product ID or the order ID, I have the references because if you see order ID, this is order ID and this is a product ID and I have a product ID here. So it means that if I want to see what are my products, what are my product names, then I can always use this table and this table, right? And then whenever I'm returning something as a customer, so for me as an owner of the company, I can check that in which order the return has been done. The return has been asked for, right? So order ID 1002 customer, some customer has basically asked for a return. So I can go here in this table in the order ID and I can see basically the customer ID 2 actually has asked for the return whose name actually is Sunita Rao, right? Isn't it? So this is how it is. So every table actually has a relationship, right? They may not have the direct relationship, but the indirect relationship is there. Like if you see this in this, we have the order ID, right? We have the order ID. So we have the order ID here. We have the order ID here, but here we don't have the order ID, which is fine. But I have the order ID here, so I can just go and check from here the product ID. And then that product ID, I can go and check here. Wow, beautiful. So that is how, the joins, they help us because you can create one join between these two tables, for example, and then whatever the output that comes, then finally that can go and, we can join that with some another table. And this is how the things work. Make sense? So now let's quickly start. So I have explained you everything. Now I'm going to take the help of the ChatGPT. I'll explain you the SQL and answer the questions. All right. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, we will use a fresh query here to answer those things. And for our data, we will refer to this. Okay. So you can see this quickly and I can toggle between these two tabs quickly. So what is the first question? So the question first is, there we go. Lifetime value per customer. Lifetime value per customer, show total spending per customer. So basically, as an owner, if you're a company owner, do you not want to see that what all those customers, what all those customers we have in our business who are giving us the maximum revenue, the highest revenue, who are very fond of our products, who keep coming to our website or maybe, shop, and they purchase a lot of things, right? They give us the business. Or maybe the other way around as well. Those customers who are not spending much, who are not giving us that much of the business, isn't it? Right? So basically, we want to see that how each customer has its spending, right? And this is very simple. If you want to take the help of the ChatGPT, you can. But basically, this table is talking about this one. See, here, this is the table where we have day to day the orders coming, and this is the real business they are giving us, total amount, isn't it? Now, which customer is giving me the business? I want to know the name also, because I don't want to, like, say, oh, this customer ID is one, fine, customer two, because you want to send maybe greeting cards, you want to send them some gifts, so you will address them with their names, isn't it? Now, this customer ID is here, so we have their name. So it means that to solve this first question, I will just create a join between this table and this table. But before I do that, because as you see here, I told you, if you remember, that here same customer can do the shopping again and again. See this, right? So we want to basically group by this. First of all, we want to have a one customer ID one as on date. As on date, what is the total amount he has done the shopping for, and also we don't need anything else. Yeah, and then we will go and look up those customer IDs over here to get their name, right? Now, because this time we want to use the ChatGPT. So how are you going to do that? Well, see, if you go to the ChatGPT, first of all, you have to actually go and tell the ChatGPT that these are your tables. Now, the one thing is that you can just go and, if your table is small, or maybe you can just go and, first copy this and then paste in the Excel and then take the tables from there. Because ChatGPT will not like the idea if you go and paste 200, 300, 400 rows. So just take few rows, because we just want to give the headers, right? So I'm going to go to the ChatGPT. The another thing that you can do is, I think that is that you just go and give the header names. Maybe if you have a create query, I don't have it. So just mention here all the queries. So I'm going to say that. I have 5 tables in SQL Server. I'm sharing the information with you, and they are in the given order. I will be asking the questions later. Okay. So let's first go and paste this here. Now, as I said that you just need basically, you only need the headers actually. You don't need even the data. But let me just paste this here. Okay. Shift enter. Let's go to the another table. Copy with headers. Now, this is another table, and create too much of problems for the chat GPT. I'll just keep my data small. Well, then there's another, let me just delete this again. Okay. I prefer using sharing the create SQL. I think that's easy for me since I don't have it now, because through create query also, chat ChatGPT will understand. Okay. Is my question or questions. Please give me the SQL. Okay. So as I explained you that, this is what we want to do. We want to see the amount, the total amount, right? So to calculate the lifetime value per customer, you need to show the total amount spent by each customer. So this is the query it has given, and it has explained everything, right? Now, again, I'm telling you one thing. If you do not know SQL Server, ChatGPT cannot help you, my dear friends. I've seen a lot of people, they are saying, oh, learn the ChatGPT, take your package to a new level, right? To get your dream package. It is not like that. ChatGPT is going to help you a lot. It is going to save you tons of the hours. I personally used to struggle for maybe weeks if I have some problem and I'm not able to sort it out. But now I can do that in just an hour or maybe 2 hours. So lot of speed is there, accuracy is there, right? But I can do that only if I know the basics. If I can understand what exactly it is saying, because then I can put up the questions also, isn't it? Sometimes ChatGPT gives the wrong answer because if it has not understood your question correctly. Okay, so first of all, this is what the ChatGPT has said, and I'm gonna explain you this. Okay, now to understand this, I will just use those two tables as I explained you. Only those two tables I'm sure ChatGPT also must have used. So one was the customer, if you remember, and then the another one was the orders. So we'll just focus on two. I'm just going to comment this, or maybe let me just delete orders. Let's just run this. See this, right? So here, the first thing is that i- in this table, we need to group by the customer ID. Okay, so let's see that how the ChatGPT has done. First of all, if you just go and run this, is it working or not? Let's first of all go and check that. Customer IDs are there, the names are there, total spending is also there as on date. Wow, beautiful. Because I remember that customer ID one, I think customer ID one has done two shoppings. One is this and one is this 26 and 1200. So 26 and 1200, that is 27, 200. Perfect. So it has added that 1200 there. Wonderful. Now, do you want to just go and solve this? I mean, do you not want to understand this? Isn't it? Now, if you already know the SQL server, then you don't have to do anything. It is going to save your time, right? But because I'm uploading this video for you, so I'm just trying to, now what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to explain this to you. Okay. See, before the join comes, basically you go and write the two queries, right? So those two queries are like this. Let's just quickly execute this. First of all, as I said that, we want to go and say select customer ID and the total amount, isn't it? As total spending. I'm going to use the same term. See this, right? From your table called orders, I guess. What was the table name? Uh, yeah, orders. And you need to group by it. Group by customer ID. Because customer IDs, customers, they are coming here and they are repeatedly buying something. So this query will give me now from here, I will get that same answer which I was showing you. See that $27,200, $3,800, right? I mean, whatever the currency. You got the point. Now, once you have got this table now, we need to go add. So this is your one table now, isn't it? Now we need a table which basically can give us what? Where we have first of all the customer IDs and the name, because I am interested in getting the name because I want to send the greetings. Now, if this customer ID one, for example, we have here and that the name of the person is Robin, then I want to capture that. So how will you do that? Pretty simple. We will just go and create the join with this, right? We can create the inner join and we have already got this table. So from here, we will just pick the name. That's it. We will just get the name here. We don't need anything. And that is what basically it is happening in this entire the query, right? So if you want to give the alias name, you can, right? Like they have given. So if you see orders O stands for this. So suppose if I want to give, I write like this. This is my O table, right? Now when you write like this, please remember now, first of all, I'm going to create, you know, a join, right? So I want to create a join. Now, join can happen by using the derived table as well, or you can create the common table expression as well. It's up to you. Okay. Or maybe like what they have done is, if you see select, they have just created a simple query. Let me just write this in single line. This is the same query that we have created, right? This is now a join. Yeah, this is how it is. This is how it is. Forget about the rest of the things. See, so you can do that as well. So let's just use this way. So I will say that select all this from orders, and we want to now join. The name of the table, if you remember, the name of the table was customers, because this is the table where we have the names, right? So I'm just going to join this, and you're going to join this where on. Now, alias name is C. You can give any name, but I'm just using the ChatGPT names. Okay. So by the way, you can also write in a join or join. It's one and the same thing. So this all, if you remember, there is a customer ID which is common. Remember, in both the tables, customer ID and customer ID. Now this is already grouped, but still the customer ID will be there. So it means that we will just say C dot customer ID equals to O dot customer ID. And this is what the chat GPT is doing. I hope this is clear. Now, because you need the name, so you're going to write comma and you will now capture the name. But name from which table? Because when the join happens, there are two tables involved. And for that, we said that customer is C, right? So this is what is happening. And also, because this customer ID can create a conflict, you're using the two tables, they both have the same customer ID. So that's why it's important for us to mention. So we can write here O dot customer ID, and this is the same thing that is being done here. C dot customer ID and then C dot name. They are using the customer ID from the name, which is okay because it's an inner join. If you want to use from the O, that is also fine. Okay. So this is how we have done this, right? And then there is a group by, which is okay. And so when you run this query, your data will come in a zigzag way, I guess. So ambiguous name, customer ID, it's not able to find it out, group by. So we must mention here the table name. As I told you, you have the customer ID in both the tables. Okay. Now see, there's another problem now, which is what? So this name, it says it's a customer name. Yeah. No, it's actually name. So, and so in the total amount also, let me just write this. That total amount is coming from the order table. Let's just go and run this again. Again, I have a problem here. Customer name is invalid in the select list because it is not contained in either aggregate function or the group by. Now, this is what happens. If you, as I said that, uh, ChatGPT can give you the solution, but you see, when you're going to do that on your own, then you will get the errors, and I'm not going to edit this. So basically, there is a rule that whenever you group something, the fields are supposed to be correct. So basically, we are using customer ID and we are using the name. So in the group by, I must go and write the another field as well, C name. And now we should run this. And in fact, what I will do, I'll cut this from here and I'll put this after the name. Okay. So this is where I'm going to paste this and I press comma. There we go. So because you are selecting multiple fields, so in the group by, this is how we will go and see. Wow, fantastic. Now, in case if you want to go and order by this in the ascending or the descending order, that's up to you, right? So for that, you can use order by, as ChatGPT also has sorted out this. So we'll say order by, and we're going to use this total spending. And I'm just going to write this, let's say in the ascending order, for example. Okay. Because I want to see those customers maybe from low spending to high spending, right? Now, I've explained you this thing and you have seen this. I hope you have understood. And also you have noticed that when I was creating a query, it took some time for me to write the query, which is pretty obvious thing, right? We got some errors also. So this is what the agenda of the session is, that ChatGPT you can use, right? A person like me will not again go and will spend much of the time on this if I've already got the query, because I know how it works. So this is going to speed up my work, right? Maybe I where I'm taking 15 minutes, this is just going to be a matter of just maybe few seconds, isn't it? Right? So this is how the question number one we have solved. Now, Let's go to the next question. Show customers returning the orders versus giving the orders. So as a customer, I like to see, as a company owner, I like to see that. So how many customers are giving me the orders, right? So their number of orders, and at the same time, out of those orders, how many orders they have asked for a return, which is a very good analysis and also very important from the company's perspective, because I don't want those customers who are ordering, let's say, 100 items and then they are asking for the return in the same ratio, right? So this can be a very good analysis. So in this case, we basically now let's plan the thing. First of all, let's say, so these are the tables, right? So these are the tables we have. Now in this table, if you remember, this is the table that I have where you are actually asking for a reason and then the return date. So here we have just the order IDs. We don't have the customer IDs and we don't have the customer names. We have their IDs. So one order ID can be repeated, because what if some order has asked for two products to be refunded, to be returned actually. Like if you see order ID 1002 and order ID 1002, 02. So this is just a hypothetical situation example, right? I mean, I may have purchased two items in one order, as I was telling you earlier. So in that case, the order ID will remain the same, right? So from here, we can simply go and collect the order IDs, the number of order IDs that I have. And then we need to figure it out how this can be, uh, we can relate this with the customers, because finally we want the customers, right? Now, we have another table. This is where we have the customer IDs and we have the order ID. So we will just go and create a join based on this order ID and this order ID, you know. So whatever the order IDs I have here, we will see the customer IDs from there, and then we will go and find out the count. And at the same time, then we will go and check these customer IDs in this table. So there are three tables, because we want to get the customer names also, right? So what I'm going to do, so it means that we are going to use the customers table, order table, and the return table. So to do this, what I will do, uh, let's just go here. Let me just delete the tables that we don't need. So just in case if I need any other tables, so I'm keeping them here. So let's quickly run the table. Now you can see this is the entire thing. So the most important tables are, one is this and the another is this. Because this table just gives us the name. So we will just have to use the join to get the name. Otherwise, the calculation will happen from here. Now, as you know that this is our, this table is our return table and this table is our order table, right? So first of all, I want to check, let's say, let's pick the customer ID first. Let's pick the customer IDs and let's see that what are the total orders the customer ID has given in this database, in this table actually. So we will just go and say group by, right? So I'll say that customer, customer, customers total orders, right? This is the first part. So we'll just say customer ID, count, count, customer ID, or you can say count star as total orders. Or I'll just write orders given, right? So the more we have the orders, it means it's better for the company, because we're getting a lot of orders from those customers. They are special customers to us. So customer ID count, this is our table called orders, and I'm going to name this as O. Right now, it's not required. So let's say group by customer ID, right? This is going to give us the total count, right? Now here we have the order ID and we will calculate the number of IDs count. So we'll know that because here we don't have the customer ID. So we have to find it out. Order ID as order returned, isn't it? And this is for return table, returns table, right? And we need the group by here, order by ID, order ID. Fine. I guess this is how it should look. So we're going to run all these. Let me run all these tables. Let's see that now. So now look at this. So this is our original table. So we want to focus on the last two queries. Yeah. Let me scroll this. You see, we have the customer IDs here. So these customers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is the order they have given, which is nice, right? So customer 5 has bought a lot of things, or maybe 4 things. We don't know because each order can have multiple items. But the thing is, he has ordered 4 times, right? Now, what we need is we need to go and look up these customer IDs. These are all the customer IDs who has given the order. Now, who has actually against these order givens, how many orders they have returned? That is what they have asked for a return. So we are just going to use the left join here so that every customer ID pop up here, and if it has no value in this table, then it should give us the value 0. So we know that now this is a, this customer is just giving us the orders, purchasing the things and fully satisfied because he has not shown here, he has 0 order return, right? Clear? Now, for the time being now, just ignore this table. Now, here we have the order ID, right? And here you have the order ID from where you have calculated everything, correct? Now we need to see that how this order ID can go here, because here also we have the order ID and this is where we have the customer ID available. So we want to see that against this order ID here, against this order ID, who all are the customers, right? And of course, we want to see the others as well. That's why I said we will go and use the left join. Now, so it means that the table that we have created, this order returned, this one, and this table, orders. Let's just use these two tables for the reference point. Yeah, right. So this actually goes here. If you see, this is capturing the customer ID too, right? Now, when you're going to look up this order ID with this order ID, you should get the customer ID too. And then the customer ID too, obviously, from here, we have already counted the number of transactions he has done, right? So it means that against this two, we just need this number. We just need this number because the other number is already captured by the first query. So how are we going to do that? Well, we will just go and say that we need the customer ID from this table, orders table, by creating a join, right? By creating a join between this table and this table on the order ID. That's it, on the order ID. And that join will simply pick the customer ID first of all. And at the same time, that join will pick the order returned as well, because that is what we need. I think then we are fine. We will have a table and then that table we can go and use with this. Okay. So how to do that? So now, since we have already created this return table, if you see here, what we will do, this is the table, this one, right? So let me just remove this. So let's create a join. So this is our table. It should be joined with the orders table, O, and it should be joined with order date, order ID equals to O dot order ID, correct or not? And then From R, from this table R, remember this is R. Let me just write it. This is your table, right? You have already grouped it. And this is your order table. So I want this and I want this. What else? Nothing. I don't need anything. This and this, they will have a join. So that's why we're using them. Okay, let's see that. So I'll simply say from my order table, I need the customer ID, right? And we don't need the order ID. We just need the customer ID. And then the count, obviously the order returned, as I said. Now, because you are using two tables, so we will fix the order ID. This is very important, right? And then finally, please remember, because in the group by we have to use the same thing, whatever we are using in the select. So this goes like this, order customer ID, right? So select the customer ID from the order table, count, get this field, which is order returned, right? And from the returns table, which is this table, which is, yeah, so this is what I was thinking, that join. It has to be an inner join. So we want to have an inner join here. Okay. So we should see those values. Now we have to go and run this. Let's see that. Look at this. Fantastic. This is what we have got now, right? So one side we have got this and the original orders are going to come from this. So if we go and run this, this is what exactly I was talking. So you have the order given, so you have the order returned. Now both these queries, we need to go and join these queries. Okay. Now, one way is that you can create the common table expression. So you can just write here common table expression. So I'm just going to give this name as CT1. Or maybe, so let's give this name called orders given, right? As, so this is my first query. Then you put the comma here. Then order returned, right? As, so this is your another CTE, common table expression. And this finishes the entire thing, right? So I'm just going to give some indentation. And here also I'm going to give some indentation to make it more readable, right? Now, once this is done, so we just have to go and say select. First of all, I'll quickly write all from now my first common table expression. So common table expression, now we'll have a left join because remember I was telling you that we need all the customer IDs. So that customer IDs like 3 and 5 can also be captured. This is very important. So this will have a join with the returned, or I should write OR and OG. Okay. So this becomes my returned and this becomes my given. So this is the first thing. And left join, OG, OR on. So OG dot customer ID equals to OR dot customer ID. Now this is the join that we have created. Now what we did is, I don't need everything. I don't need the repetition. I just say that from the first table, I want the customer ID. And then I want, again, order given. Now you can leave this as order given also, because if the names are unique, like order given is not here, so you can write it without writing the table name. But here it is important. Otherwise you will get the error because customer ID is here and customer ID here as well. So this is what it is, and orders returned. Now this is the plan, the whole plan that we have here, right? Okay. So now one more thing. You see these Swiggy lines, right? So I'll say RAT because I think SQL is taking this as a OR, which is a comparison operator. So I'm just going to write this as ORT, return. Okay. So this is how. Now let's quickly go and try to run this and see the results. So invalid column name, order given. So order given is invalid name. It says it's order givens actually, right? Yeah. So l- let's run this again. Execute. Uh, Customer ID is not found. ORT. Okay. So here also I got to do something which is uh, ORAT. Yes, this is the mistake. So these mistakes will happen. Let me run this now. Fantastic. Fantastic. Hope you're enjoying the session, right? That's why I said we will have a real learning. Okay. No shortcuts, no 5 minutes, 10 minutes videos. You can't learn in 5 minutes. You can't even learn using ChatGPT if you do not know the fundamentals. Initially, you have to put a lot of efforts. Only then ChatGPT can put your career on the fourth gear or maybe fifth gear. I don't know which country you live in, but here in India, we have, I guess, maximum 5 gears, 5 gears, at least that I know of. But who knows, maybe in some expensive cars, there may be more than that. So that this is the whole plan. You understand the point, guys, right? Okay. Now I can go and check the solution in the chat GPT also, right? But the point is, if chat GPT will give me the code, obviously this code, I need to know how this works. Every time you cannot survive in your job using the copy paste. Okay. Anyways, the one thing that I don't like about this is that first of all, we need the customer ID name also. So let's first of all sort out that. And these nulls, if you see, because order returned, as I said, that this customer has no order returned. Very nice. So what we can do is we can put here is null function. Okay. So just write that in case if there's null value, it should be 0. It means obviously, right? Because if there's no return item, it should be 0. So that is the whole plan. So we can write in this way. Let's run this. Look at this. Now names are not there. You got to write the names also. So I'm just going to say that orders given found, and same for this order returned, right? Make sense? Super. Lot of learning, right? And so this is, yeah, this is how I prefer. Okay, so I will just run this F5. Yeah, this makes sense now. We will cross check this, don't worry. Now, if you remember that there's a customer table also where we have the customer ID and their names, right? Do you remember this table? We have not used this table yet. If I show you, see this. So I can't run this with the common table expression, but so you have to see. So this is a customer ID and name, right? Customer ID and name. Well, so what we can do, we can create here one more common table expression, put the comma here. So we can write here that simply customer as select customer ID and name from customers. This is pretty easy, straightforward, right? So finally, when we have a join that we have created, this one, we will just write here one more thing, which is a name. So you can write wherever you want. I'll just go right here, okay, comma. But you prefer writing after the customer ID. So now this table, we will name this table as, let's say C, okay. So I'm just going to write as C dot name, and yeah. So you got to create here again one more join after this. So now we will have a inner join. So I'll just write join because I need the names uh, for the common fields, right? Whatever the fields that I have, customer IDs. So this should be joined with the customers C, and again on C dot customer ID. I hope this will work. And then we can just pick any key. OG is fine, order given, and customer ID, right? Yeah. So this is the whole plan. So let's try to run this. Hopefully this will work. Yeah, super, right? And so I'll just cut this from here, and I'm just going to maybe put this here. What do you think? Right? Fine. All right. Now I'm just going to create some space. Okay. So let's run this. Beautiful. Now, once we have all this, we need to see now, I mean, if this is correct or not. So cross check. So let's say this is Rohan Mehta and customer ID is 3. So what about customer ID 3? Order count, order given 2 and there's no return, right? Okay, so let's cross check. First of all, 3 Rohan Mehta. So let's go here. 3 Rohan Mehta. Perfect. Name is correct, customer ID is correct. Now let's come in this table. So customer ID 3 has given one order and here also he has given one order. So there are 2 orders that he has given. Perfect, right? Yes, 2 orders. So this is correct. Let's go in the return table. Let me create some space here. Yeah. Now, if we see the order IDs that belongs to the customer ID 3, one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 12, 35 and 1003. So do we have that order here? 1003. No, it's not there. It's not there. So I have only 4 rows here. So that's why it says 0. Perfect. It's working. Wonderful. Now we can check for somebody else also like, so what about this person, Ajay Sharma, customer ID 1? So Ajay Sharma, customer ID 1 is correct, you see, right? Now let's see that. So customer ID 1, this is the one. So he has only one order, which makes sense, which is correct. No, sorry. Uh, it's a return. 2 orders, yeah. So we have 2 orders, this and this, right? Now in this situation, so one is 1001 and 1005. So let's cross check this. 1001 and 1005 is there, right? 1005 is there. So it's just one order. So this query is working super, right? Okay, awesome. Now, since we have discussed the 2 questions and I've explained you in a detail, right? I've explained this. Now, the third question, we will just directly go and try with the ChatGPT quickly. Most returned product categories. So these are the categories, if you remember. So it means that for sure, this is the table that we are going to use. And so we want to see which category has the highest products that are returned by the customer, isn't it? So return table is this, right? So it means we will first of all check the order ID. They will go by this. Once we have the order ID here, so see the plan because I'm just going to take the help of the ChatGPT. I'll not explain this now. These are the 2 tables I think that are going to be involved, right? But the problem is in these 2 tables, join cannot happen. You know the reason. There's no common field, right? So first once we have the group by the order ID, we know each order ID that uh, is asked for by the customer, you know, uh, for a return, isn't it? Now, once this is done, we know in this table, we have something very important, which is our product ID. Because product name is nowhere. Not in this table, not in this table, not in this table. So this is of no use. So what I can do, I can look for the product ID in some other table. Now this is the table product ID. So, and this product ID, we can look up this and this, but before that, this order ID, we can look up from here to here, isn't it? So these order IDs that I will get from here, I will look up these order IDs in this table and I'll capture their product IDs. Once I get their product IDs, we'll just have again, one more join. Simple. Make sense? Right? So this is the plan. So let me show you. Yeah. So this is the table. So we just go and say order IDs, group by, and then left join with this table, just get their product IDs. Very simple, right? So if we have a order ID 1001, for example, here somewhere here, let's say if it has 2 product IDs, so it is going to return both the IDs. So now what we will do, I'm just going to use a ChatGPT here because right now you have, I'm sure, must have understood the entire concept. So we're going to take the help of the ChatGPT, and I'll say that uh, most returned, please provide me the SQL. Okay, let's go and check. Start from the return table. As I told you, get the order ID, join it with the order details. You see where we have the product ID, and then that product should be joined with the category. Absolutely. It's the same way that we have discussed. See that. So here one join is this and one join is this, right? So using order details, we are using the product table and you're using the return table. Simple. And the alias name. Order ID with order ID. Once you have that, then you're going to pick the product ID with the product ID, because this is where you are, you know, calculating uh, that the count. So you can give it a try. I'm just going to copy this. So let's run this and let's see. So ChatGPT. Last two lines are not important. I mean, they are important, but technically, these are the lines you have to understand. And this is what I say. There is a join between return table and the order detail table. And this is all on the order ID, if you remember. Order ID. This order ID and this order ID. The join happens. Now, what you want from here, it's up to you. Obviously, we want product ID. That's it. And also the count, right? So that is what it is. P dot category, right? Now here, if you see here, we don't even have the product ID because further it is joined by the another table, which is the product table, isn't it? Because finally we need the category only. So that's why the category actually is coming from this table. So once the join happens here on the basis of product ID, then product ID goes here on the product ID, because if you see this is the product ID, then you will eliminate the product ID and you will override that with the category, because that is exactly finally you want. But if you want here the product ID also, for sure you can do that, right? Let me just run this again. Yeah. So we got to see this now. Okay. So now here comes the last question. Here comes the question number 4. How many days ago did each customer place their most recent orders? Which means that who bought something recently and who hasn't purchased in a long time. So we can pitch them by introducing the discounts. So these dates are very old dates. As you see, this is 2022, but I just show you the query. So basically, what we have to do, um, not the return date, but we will go here because we want to check the order date here, not the return, right? This is the table. So we will say that subtract order date from the today date and count the number of days. Very easy. So we can use get date. I don't know which function ChatGPT will give, but I will go and say simply get date minus order date, and I'll get the number of days, right? Since I don't have 2025 data here, which is okay, but you got the point, right? So once we have got the number of days, we can sort them in ascending or descending, and then we will know that if somebody is in within 30 days, fine. If somebody is in 60 to 90 days, all stuff like that. So this is very easy, I guess. So I'm just going to copy this. I think this is fine. Let's go to ChatGPT quickly, and I'll paste this there. Let's see that. To find how many days each customer placed their most recent order, we can use SQL data Yeah, data is for by the data difference. So we can calculate the difference as well, right? So what this is doing is, so you see that this is using the get date. So it's the last order. So this is a get date, which will give us the today date. And then we will see that what is the highest rate of the customer, the max date when he has ordered. So that is subtracted, and this entire formula, this is the formula. This is the same thing I was telling you, date difference. So you write here month, day, year, the difference that you want. So we want the number of days, the difference in number of days. Now, maybe my customer has given the orders on different dates, isn't it? but I always want to see the last order, the recent one. So that's why I'm using max date, isn't it? So that will give me the entire result. And then finally, that goes to the customer because we need the customer name also. We don't need the customer ID only, right? So this is all, I mean, about that. So here, it's very simple. What we have done, that there are one table is this table, right? So we are calculating, we are subtracting this date with the today date in days by using the date difference. Once we have that, then we are going to look up the customer ID here because we need the name. That's it, right? We need the name. And then we obviously have to group also because here the customers are coming uh, repeatedly, and also that the order date for any, for example, this person has purchased on this date and this date. So I'll just pick the max date. Okay, so this is pretty simple, right? So again, I'll just copy this. I hope you have got the point, right? If any doubts, you can ask me. So I'm just going to say Control V for question. So what was the question actually? Question number 4. So see, ChatGPT is wonderful, right? So let me run this again. I prefer this in this way. And then there's a date difference. I'll take this again here, right? And then you have the get data also, right? Which is actually a part of data diff. So please remember, this is the same thing. This is the one thing. This is where the formula is getting closed. This packet and this packet, right? And this is for get date. Don't get confused, right? So you have the maximum date of for that customer, let's say A, right? So you have that highest date, the recent date here, and this is you have that today date. So date difference is that this will be subtracted from this T minus R basically, and then you will get the output in the days. In Excel also we have these functions, isn't it? I think date difference is there or not. I don't remember exactly in Excel. It's not date difference, but you can just subtract the days. Text function you can use also. The number of days you can format it after subtracting the dates. Anyways, so this is the header. Fine, clear. So from customer this, join this with order table where we have the day to day the transactions, and the join will happen on this. That's it. And then of course you're grouping by the customer ID because they will repeat otherwise. And this we are sorting in the ascending order. You can sort in whatever way you want. So I think this is again same. I mean, a different query, but concept is same. Let me press F5. Look at this. So these days are coming obviously like 685 because this is old data. But if you change the dates, you will get here exactly the right status. So you can pitch accordingly because if somebody is here between 60 and 90 days, you can definitely go and try to pitch them, isn't it? So that is how the question number 4 is done. Okay. Okay. So ChatGPT is superb. And I've explained you, remember that, right? Which customer returned the most expensive items? Well, most expensive items, it means that we know here the order IDs, right? So these order IDs, what we can do, we can look up these order IDs here maybe because this is where we have their price. No, where we have their price. Yeah, here we have their price. No, this is we need to target the right table. So either we can use this table also because here we have the order IDs. So what is the total amount they have purchased? So we can look up those things, right? So let's just again copy this and go to the chat GPT. And I want to ask you this the same thing. Let's see that which customer returned the most expensive item. We need to start with the return table. Yes, as I said, get return order ID, join with orders to get the customer ID. Remember in the order we have the customer, how much he has paid or she has paid, right? And then join with the order details to get the unit price, right? So Unit price is basically per item wise. If you remember the table, this table, we have not used this table so far in all any of the questions. This one, because here the quantity also matter. This is basically based on that. What is the quantity and the unit price for that particular order? So, anyways, I mean, so this is the entire thing. You have the entire the query here. Um, if you just copy this, and I mean, I'll leave it to you. This particular thing, just go and study on this. Okay. If I just run this, let's see that what it says. This is the question number 6. So these are the customer IDs. Their total return value is 7600, 1200, and 800. This is how it is. Okay. So if you see here, unit price, they are multiplying with the quantity in order to get the total. Because what you are returning here, it may have n- not just one quantity, but more quantity. Like if you see here 1003, this has two quantity. So accordingly, quantity multiplied with the unit price, that makes it 1000. I'm just giving you an example, right? This way. So this is all how the calculation is done. Anyways, so I leave this question to you, and of course you can get all these SQL solutions, right? In this the video, just go to the comment section, and you can go and copy and paste everything from there. Uh, of course, I will be giving you the insert query, the create query also for these tables, so that you can just go and copy those in your SQL server and uh, run it through. You'll get all these tables directly. Okay, fine. Then we will meet now in some another project. Thank you.